Hey guys, ZomFox here, and as you can see by the title of the video, the 2025 United Football League season schedule has officially been announced. We have gotten this now a month earlier than we did this prior season. Last year, we did not get the schedule for the 2024 UFL season until February, and now we're getting it a month early. So right before we go and look at each and every matchup for this upcoming season, let's start off with some of the details and the by the numbers. Now this is from the official UFL site, their official page on the schedule. 43 league media partners will present, or essentially all 43 games will be on the league partners. Of course, you know it's ESPN, Fox, ABC, yada yada. 22 of the games will be on ESPN slash ABC slash ESPN2. Now, thankfully, only one game is going to be on ESPN2, and then the 21 other games will be on the Fox networks, with 20 of them being on Fox and one on FS1. Already a great start. Only two games on what would be considered the two really weak networks. So that's already a great start. There will be 10 weeks of regular seasons, of course, which includes Fox UFL Friday. That is right. We are getting 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week, Friday night football for the regular season. Something we've been clamoring for a while with spring football is having one of those marquee matchups every single week, and we're finally getting it. Now, as well as this, we're going to be getting 8 UFL features, or, features 8 teams, yada yada. And then ABC, ESPN, Fox will broadcast 5 double headers during the season. Of course, that's also really good, getting back-to-back games multiple times during the season. Then, of course, 2 conference championships. One's going to be on ABC, one's going to be on Fox. And 74% of all games are going to be on ABC or Fox, which, of course, are the 2 networks you want games on, since those are the most easily accessible channels. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it with each team's schedule, or the whole schedule for the whole league. Now, week 1, the very first game of the 2025 season is going to be the Battlehawks versus Roughnecks, Friday Night Football on March 28th. Then we're going to have the Brahmas versus Renegades on Saturday at 4 p.m. And then on Sunday, we're going to have a doubleheader on ESPN of the Panthers, Showboats, and then the Stallions Defenders. Now, for week 2, we're going to see Friday Night Football that week being the Stallions versus Panthers. Then we're going to have one game on Saturday, which is going to be a Saturday night game between the Showboats and the Defenders. Then on ESPN on Sunday, we're going to have the Roughnecks versus Renegades at 12 p.m. and then the Brahmas versus Battlehawks at the Dome at 6:30 on FS1. Already kind of sad there. Then now, as for the week 1 and 2 schedules, really would have liked to see a better matchup for the initial kickoff game. Battlehawks Roughnecks is one of the weaker games, though it is cool we're going to see TDECU back in play for the first game of the season. And then putting one of the Brahmas Battlehawks games on FS1, not what you want to see, is what it is. Week 3, we have the Renegades versus Stallions being the Friday Night Football game, followed by the Roughnecks versus Showboats on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. And then on Sunday, we're going to have the Brahmas versus Panthers, followed by a doubleheader of the Defenders Battlehawks on ABC as well. Of course, marquee matchup right there, the Defenders Battlehawks, the biggest rivalry really in the entire league. And the Brahmas Panthers had a really solid game last year, so overall really good for week 3. Now, week 4's Friday Night Football game is going to be the Showboats versus the Michigan Panthers at Detroit. Then on Saturday, we're going to have one game at 12 p.m. and one at 7. The game at 12 is going to be the Battlehawks versus the Renegades on ABC. Then the Stallions versus Roughnecks is going to be on Fox. Then Sunday, we have one game at 5 p.m. with the Brahmas versus Defenders. As for week 5 and 6, week 5 we're going to have the Friday Night Football game be between the Showboats and Stallions. And then on Saturday at 7 p.m., we're going to have the Panthers versus the Battlehawks at the Dome. Again, huge matchup last year for that week 1 game where it ended with the Jake Bates long field goal. So this is a huge matchup. It's great that they're going to have it at a prime time of 7 p.m. on a Saturday. Then on Sunday, we have another doubleheader between the Defenders and Renegades at 12, followed by the Roughnecks and Brahmas at 3. Then in week 6, the Renegades will take on the Battlehawks at the Dome for Friday Night Football, followed by Saturday having a 12 p.m. game between the Showboats and Roughnecks on ABC. Then on Sunday, we have the Defenders versus Panthers being the ESPN2 game, and the Brahmas versus Stallions going to be the 4 p.m. game on Sunday on Fox. Defenders-Panthers, if you're going to put a game on ESPN2, this is one of those matchups that not really many people talk about. It's one of those, ones where there's just, the Panthers versus Renegades was a much bigger game. The Panthers versus Battlehawks was a much bigger game. The Battlehawks, of course, this is definitely one of those matchups where putting on ESPN2, you're not too shocked at it. Then week 7, Friday Night Football is going to be the Defenders versus the Brahmas, followed by the Panthers versus the Renegades on Saturday at 1 on Fox. Then Sunday, we're going to have the Roughnecks versus Stallions at 12, followed by the Battlehawks and Showboats on ESPN, a mini doubleheader, but not a true doubleheader. Then week 8, this is going to make a lot of people upset. Week 8, the Friday Night Football game is the Showboats versus Brahmas. Of course, the classic game last year where the Brahmas came back, scored 2 touchdowns less than a minute. And this is what's going to make a lot of people upset. We are getting one regional split game or regional broadcast where the Michigan Panthers play the Houston Roughnecks and the Stallions play the Battlehawks, both at 1 p.m. on Saturday, May 17th, both on Fox. This really sucks. I mean, the Stallions versus Battlehawks should have been a Friday Night Football game, or at the very least just been a primetime game somewhere else. That is one of your biggest matchups of the season. Having it at the Dome this time, the fact that they decided to put this as a regional game, as well as the Panthers Roughnecks, really does suck. Especially because the Panthers Roughnecks game last year was one of the best games. That rematch they had at the end of the year was one of the best games the entire season. They dropped the ball in this one, though it is good to see they're only doing one of these instead of the 3 we had last year. But considering you added Friday Night Football, it does suck to see that is what it is. Sunday, we're going to have one game at 12 on ABC, the Renegades versus the Defenders. Then the final 2 weeks of the season, in week 9, we have the Battlehawks versus the Brahmas at the Dome. Again, for those of you who don't remember, the Brahmas are only going to have 4 home games due to a lot of scheduling conflicts, so the Battlehawks got an extra home game. Then the Renegades versus the Showboats are going to be followed by the Panthers Stallions at 12 and 3, both on ABC, another doubleheader. The Defenders versus Roughnecks close out that week, Sunday, 4 p.m. on Fox. Then the final week of the season has the big Battlehawks versus Defenders rivalry being the Friday Night Football game for that week, followed by, on Saturday, the 3 p.m. game between the Roughnecks and Panthers. Then another mini doubleheader, the Renegades Brahmas on ABC at 12, followed by the Stallions Showboats to close the year at 3 p.m. on Fox. Closeout game, Stallions versus Showboats. You would have rather had that be like the Stallions versus the Panthers, but it is what it is. And of course, having the Battlehawks Defenders be the Friday Night Football finale is a great decision. And then as for the time of the playoff games, we don't know exactly which conference championship game is going to be on which date, but one of them's going to be, or they're both going to be on Sunday. One's going to be at 3, one at 6 on ABC and Fox, respectively. And they are alternating which broadcast gets the championship game. Last year was Fox. This year's going to be ABC, 8 p.m. on Saturday, June 14th. For those of you who don't know, the rumor pretty much is that Protective, where Birmingham plays, is probably going to be where the game is. Initial reports said Audi Field, but then there was issues with a lot of issues with multiple things going on. There's like some sort of a big event that I'm just completely spacing out on that's going on this year, so where they really can't do it. So, not going to happen. But Protective is the early on favorite, but we'll see. And so that's the entire schedule for the 2025 UFL season. I will be making team-based shorts if you just kind of skip to the end or you want to just get a more focused, concise on each team. They'll be coming out on the 3rd and 4th, probably 4 and 4. As for overall thoughts on the schedule, it does feel like it's a much better schedule than the year prior, mainly because we have those Friday night games. The league did not have a ton of primetime games last year, and we're getting a lot of them because of this schedule. And especially early on, we're getting a decent amount of primetime games, a decent amount of 7 p.m. games during Saturday and Sunday windows. And it overall just feels a lot better. Now, yes, having another regional game does suck. Look, despite what some people say, the overall numbers for the regional games really were still pretty solid. It's just the fact that if you're a UFL fan, you want to watch every game. That's the biggest thing about spring football, is you can watch every game. Not being able to do that really sucks. I would have much preferred if they had tried to do something where they even maybe put one game on like ESPN2 and one on Fox or something like that. Put one on the secondary network to at least give you an option to switch between them if you have access to them. Speaking of FS1, it's great that we're only going to have 2 games on those 2 channels, ESPN2 and FS1. Getting closer and closer to just eliminating those channels. Granted, considering next year, as long as what the league says and everyone pretty much knows is going to happen, the expansion happens. Might have more on them, might not, we'll see. But overall, let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are on the schedule below. Again, it's great that we're getting this a month early. I know a lot of people were hoping it would come out earlier, especially because guys like Skip Holtz had been talking about it, but biggest issue is Audi Field. MLS stadiums have issues because of the fact that UFL teams do not get that, priority of scheduling. So they kind of have to be at the mercy of the MLS, which is basically what happened at Audi Field. Is what it is. Overall, though, I think it's a really solid schedule. Again, I'm really upset that the first game is kind of a weird one between the Battlehawks and Roughnecks. Feels like they could have done a better matchup for that. Though, like I said, it is cool we are seeing TDECU in action, after having been gone for Rice. I do get it in that regard, right? Battlehawks are the team that gets the most eyeballs in a lot of ways, them and the Stallions. TV-wise, they're both pretty much up there. So I get wanting to put one of them against the Roughnecks at TDECU. It does make sense in that regard. But you would have wished it was, the Stallions versus Brahmas, but you couldn't really do that because if I remember correctly, there's issues with scheduling conflicts in Protective, and then of course the Brahmas aren't going to have a home game till the second half of the season. Again, is what it is. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think of it overall. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers where we are doing a giveaway. We have a new community friend or community hero in Trevor R, so thank you for becoming a community member. It's as low as 99 cents a month to get an exclusive video every month, team emojis, and many other benefits. And as always, guys, have a great night.